On day 201, I had finally figured out how to shoot guns. So I used them to kill a few zombies. And then I figured out that a shotgun was even better. And it pulled all the zombies in an area to me. I had discovered my new strategy. I still wasn't quite proficient yet, but I would get there. I was starting to get proficient with a rifle as well. I enjoyed picking the zombies off from a safe distance. It was starting to get late, and I was starting to get tired, so I had a decision to make. I was a long way from home. I could try to drive all the way there and then drive all the way back in the morning, or I could find a safe place to sleep the night. I decided it was worth the risk, so I rushed my car as close as I could up against a house so that no zombies could get to me. And then I took a risk and went to sleep. Luckily, I woke up. It was still the middle of the night, but neither the time of day or the undead would keep me from reaching my objective, the small police station on the outskirts of town. I very carefully planned my entrance and scouted around the area. The coast seemed clear, so I made my entrance and started scouting around. I was looking for firearms and ammo. Eventually, I located my prize in the back room, and I took all I could carry. It was a little less than I had hoped for, but I had to make do with what I could get. The cops had arrived, so I had to do some more clearing. I secured my loot in my car. Then I decided since I was here, I might as well kill some undead. My shotgun broke, so I turned to my trusty pickaxe. I may have made a tactical error and bit off more than I could chew. I was able to defeat the first wave, but they just kept coming. It wasn't even safe hiding behind the police station. Here they come again. Fortunately, I had another shotgun that I could fall back on. And, fall back I did. Until I cleared them out enough that my trusty pickaxe could get the job done. But oh boy, here comes some more. This was hard work, and I was getting winded. I almost took a bite there, but fortunately, my tailoring skill protected me. I couldn't keep this up for much longer. I was getting exhausted. I wanted to get to my car and get away, but the undead had other ideas, so I lured them away by blasting them in the face with my shotgun. I made clever use of corners and choke points. But they just kept chasing me. They were relentless. Eventually, I cleared myself enough wiggle room that I could sit down and relax for a minute and catch my breath. This was a big advantage. Unfortunately, I was getting farther and farther away from my car. But what else could I do? The undead would not stop, and neither would I. Can't stop, won't stop. Never stop, never stopping. Until I ran out of shotgun ammo. So it was back to my trusty pickaxe. My trusty pickaxe never fails me. Until it did, it broke. Now I was in big trouble. I was basically weaponless except for my police baton, but it was a short-range weapon and not good for clearing hordes. So I tried to make my escape once again. It seemed my plan to lure the undead away from my car was mostly successful, and I was able to sneak past a few and quickly dispatch a few more. I was deathly afraid that my nightstick would break also, and then what would I do? Especially after I encountered another mini-horde. I was feeling exhausted again. This was hard work, but my car was finally in sight, so I made a run for it. But the undead got in my way once again. A boot to the face deterred them. And I finally made it to my car. I checked around for backup weapons. And was interrupted once again. Eats foot. I was feeling confident, perhaps overconfident, so I stuck around instead of making a retreat. I should have at least stopped to rest. This was a tactical mistake. I was very tired. But I really wanted to loot this farming and rural supply store. Oh no! An alarm! Run for it! Once again, my overconfidence would be my weakness. I decided to hide for a little bit and see what would happen. After the alarm ended, I ventured out to see what had happened. And found undead, of course. A lot of undead. Perhaps too many undead for my little nightstick. So it was shotgun time once again. But this only made things worse once again and drove me away from my car. They are billions! Oh man, I was in trouble. Look at all these zombies. And more coming up from behind until I ran out of ammo again. What was I gonna do now? Oop, I almost fell. I was getting exhausted once again, and I had tripped and cut myself. This was a big problem. Fortunately, I could still hobble faster than the undead could run. I couldn't keep this up for long, though. I was getting exhausted. Fortunately, I was able to duck into my car, quickly start it, and drive away. Ooh, a trailer. I wanted it. But perhaps I had learned my lesson. Maybe. As tempting as it was, I knew it was time to head back to base. Healed up, refueled, and rearmed, I returned to the scene of the crime. Well, if there wasn't a crime before, there certainly was now. Murder. Mass murder. There's been another murder. before 10. I was actually enjoying myself shooting all these undead. And the undead were enjoying chasing me around. I killed undead until I couldn't kill no undead no more. And then I moved my car into what I thought was a safe position and went to sleep for the night. Surprise! Zombies! I was able to drive away. Then, by the light of my car's headlights, I resumed the slaughter. All these corpses around were starting to make me feel sick. My car died. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Oh! I switched seats to get the zombie away, and then switched back, and I was able to start the car and drive away. Man, the smell of these corpses is starting to get to me. Oof. But I can't leave without at least doing some looting, can I? Nice, more guns and ammo. I grabbed what I could carry. I stopped by the hardware store next, but I didn't find anything I wanted. Next stop was the bookstore. And then a little more murder. Before it was finally time to head home. I felt I had accomplished everything I was going to be able to accomplish in Riverside, so it was time to move. I set my sights on Rosewood. So I spent a few days packing up all of my gear, loading everything up as best I could. It was tough deciding what to leave behind. I had built an amazing life for myself here in the ashes of the apocalypse. The next day, I drove all the way to Rosewood and had an epic battle and killed over 300 zombies at once with a combination of my shotgun and pickaxe. Unfortunately, my computer crashed and I lost all the footage. But I'll show you a little bit of the aftermath. As you can see, I am now over 3,000 kills, and there's a big chunk of zombies there. Here's another big pile of corpses over here. And they're just all over the place. I was kiting them around, taking out groups of them at a time with my shotgun. And there's a few more left up here at this car crash. Not sure how those didn't pull, but as you can see, there's these big groups of bodies all over the place. And my character is now tired from fighting all day. Well, driving and then fighting all day. Here's some more of the carnage over here. There's another group there. Big group back there. And there's more up here in the woods. I was just kind of hiding around into the woods. I tried to stay off the road as much as I could, but, you know, when you're being chased by 300 zombies, you kind of do what you have to do. I think the snow might have covered up some of the bodies, because there were a lot more than this. But anyways, I apologize about the fact that that footage is missing. It was a very epic battle. I was actually very proud of myself. But now we are in Rosewood. I'm going to get back into character for the next part here. After multiple days of fighting and sleeping in my car, I made it to the Rosewood gas station, and I started clearing it out. My rifle came in very handy, as did my pickaxe. Whoops, whiff there. Whoops, whiff, strike two. The coast looked clear, so I claimed my territory by taking a generator and plopping it down. I wanted to head inside to resupply, but management had other ideas. They were insistent, but my argument was stronger. Hello, naked man. After securing a gas station and some temporary supplies, I resumed attempting to clear to my new home. It seemed like all of Rosewood had come out to meet me, so meet them I did. In combat, both my gun skill and my pickaxe were getting a workout. One tried to sneak up on me, but I blasted him. After I cleared out the immediate area, I took a little break to loot the supermarket. Then it was back to working my way through downtown Rosewood. How do I keep getting myself in these situations? Oh, right. That's how. I killed so many undead that I broke another pickaxe. And had to resort to my nightstick and my feet once again. Eventually, finally, I made it to my new chosen home. And I started securing the immediate area. This is my house now, zombies. You're not welcome. Zombies have no respect for a claim. This is mine. Get out. It even came with a nice car I could steal. After that, I moved in and started inspecting the inside. Oops, occupado. Time to get these disgusting corpses out of here. It's time to meet the neighbors. Hey, my new car has a full tank of gas. What a stroke of luck. Now it was time to start making this house my home. Adding sheets and sheet ropes as escape ropes to the windows was my first course of action. Started breaking things down for parts. I destroyed the staircase so no undead could get upstairs. Then I started constructing a balcony. This would be a nice place for me to hide, as well as where I would put my water collectors. I decided to install fencing so that I wouldn't fall off, and added an escape route for convenience. Interruptions. My foothold in Rosewood was secure. I had a safe place to sleep, I had water collectors ready to go, and I had my generator for power. With my base established, I started looting and clearing the surrounding area until an alarm went off. I thought to use this as a lure to ambush some zombies, but wow, there was a lot more than I was expecting. So this turned into an epic midnight showdown. The more I killed, the more showed up. Fortunately, I was turning into quite the zombie slayer. Looks like somebody brought a gun to a zombie fight. Horde seemed to never end, so I hopped the fence to put a little distance between us. But that was short-lived, just like this zombie. The Horde was never-ending and relentless. But fortunately, I was well stocked on ammo.
Okay, it's happening! Everybody stay calm! What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Well,
it seemed like no matter how many zombies I killed, or what I did, the Horde kept growing and growing instead of shrinking. I was in trouble. It was time to hop a fence again to put some distance and regain my bearings. How could there still be this many zombies? I couldn't go on much longer like this. If nothing else, I would run out of ammo. So I decided it was time to make an escape. I ran for it and ducked through the alleyways. This got me away from the main horde, but there were still some stragglers. I quickly dispatched this more manageable amount of zombies. Ooh, oh man, that was tough. Let's take a little break and eat. Oh, man. Somewhere, sometime within the mass of undead, I disassembled enough watches to level up my electricity to master electrical work. So I took the time to read my electrical expert book. And then it was back to more killing and looting. I needed a beer, so I hit up the local bar. Beer. And then it was back to grinding skills. I wanted to upgrade the wooden gate I built in front of my house to metal, so I started working on my metalworking skill. Disassembling things seemed to be the way to go. It would also give me the supplies I needed to do my metalworking. Not even refrigerators were safe. Eventually, I had the skills and supplies needed to start my fence. But it wasn't enough. It would never be enough. So I disassembled more stuff to get more metalworking supplies. Minus the occasional interruption, I was working hard on my skills. The laundromat would provide a fantastic source of leveling and materials. But man, was I getting bored. I cured my boredom by standing in the rain and reading a comic book. Yeah, I know. I kept grinding away until finally I was able to read my Master Metal Workbook. I was a Master Metal Worker. I needed a break from all this grinding, so I decided to raid the police station. But first, I had to fight through the undead. Like shooting fish in a barrel. After I made my way inside, I took a little snack break. Then carefully explored the prison area. It's always in the last place you look. Eventually, I found what I was looking for, the armory, and I stocked up on some guns and ammo. And then I headed outside to make use of my newfound guns and ammo. It felt like cheating shooting them from behind the fence, but, well, they're zombies. Their whole wretched existence is cheating. So I helped them not exist anymore. How kind of them to let me use them as targeting practice. I found a police car in fantastic condition, except the battery was dead. I would have to come back for it later. For now, I had my sights set on the prison, and man, there were a lot of zombies there. It took me several days of clearing. I should say, it took me several days even to get to the prison. The forest surrounding the prison was crawling. I broke multiple weapons along the way, including crowbars and nightsticks and baseball bats. Till eventually I made it into, what was this, the visitor center? Either way, I found a katana, one of the best weapons in the world. And I had fun using it. School bags? What are school bags doing in the prison? In video games? Upstairs I found an armory with some ammo and guns. I grabbed what I could. And in the very last container in the armory, I made a fantastic find, an M14 rifle. This would be much better than the hunting rifles I was using before. I'm busy right now. Can you come back later? I gave a parting FU to the zombies in the area, and then I made my escape with my valuables. Look at this carnage. Holy cow. That was a lot of zombies. Was being the key word. Wait, where did all these come from? I thought I cleared this area. Well, it's clear now. The next day, it was back through the carnage once again to revisit the prison. My work here was not done. It was almost like I hadn't done any work at all. There were so many zombies. I wanted to head into the actual prison itself to take a look around, but there were so many zombies outside. They were never ending. On the outside, I could only imagine what it was like on the inside. Every time I thought I was about to make it into the building, more zombies showed up and drove me off. Eventually, I did make it inside, and I took a look around. All I found were zombies. I could hear their growling everywhere. It was terrifying. They were coming from everywhere. It was freaking me out too much, so I made my escape. I would be back another day. But for now, the town of Rosewood itself needed me. Maybe I wasn't the hero the town needed right now, but I was the one it deserved. I decided to use the police cruiser I had found earlier as bait and turn the lights and sirens on. This would allow me to more efficiently slaughter undead as they would come to me, and I could kill them out in the open instead of having to go house to house. And come to me they did. I guess somehow, through the sheer weight of their zombie mass, they had turned my lights and sirens off. I paid them back for it by turning them off. Apparently, they had broken the light bar on the police cruiser. Thanks, zombies. Real nice of you. So I proceeded to break their faces. Well, if I couldn't use the light bar, surely the blast from this shotgun would attract the undead. Mission accomplished, I guess. Ooh, almost got bit there. Be careful what you wish for, especially when what you wish for is zombies. Well, this looks familiar. Where have we seen this before? I found another vehicle with a light bar, and I used it to set another trap for the undead. At first I thought maybe I had killed them all already, but then, out of the rain, they appeared everywhere. This was going to be quite the fight. The rain intensified and I was exhausted, so I decided to call it a night. The rains continued the next day, but I was undaunted and I headed back into town. While slaughtering the undead, I came across a box van in near perfect condition. I would make this my new vehicle. Look at that. Great condition. But first, the undead needed my attention, so I provided. In the form of a baseball bat to the face. And on day 237, I killed my 5,000th zombie. 5,000 down, and who knew how many more to go? I didn't know this at the time, but 5,000 would become all in a day's work once I moved on to Louisville later in my post-apocalyptic life. Since I had found a new car I wanted, I decided to do a little, shall we say, Carmageddon with my old car. And I ran over zombies left and right, smashing them in my wake. After the fun was over, I started fixing up my new car. It needed a new battery. And some gas. I siphoned the gas from my old vehicle to put in the new vehicle. Then I loaded up the truck and I moved to back to my base. It handles like a dream. For a giant van, that is. The car was in great shape, but there were just a couple things that needed work, so I took care of them, including a new tire. After doing this work, I decided I needed to improve my mechanic skill to do future repairs, so I got to work grinding on my mechanic skill. Eventually, after completely dismantling several cars, I leveled up my mechanics. So I immediately read my Master Mechanics book. I was now a Master Mechanic. All this busy work left me eager for some action, so I headed back into town and checked out the courthouse. There wasn't a whole lot of action to be had there. This provided me with a little bit of the action I was looking for when I headed to the fire station next. I gave myself a little tour of the fire station. Nice workout room. I thought this seemed like a cool place to make a base, but I just didn't have the time to stick around. I picked up some good supplies and moved on. This definitely would have been a cool place to set up a base. The next day I decided I wanted to level up my first aid skill, but I wasn't quite sure how to do that other than to injure myself. So injure myself I did. Once I had learned the first aid skill better, I started reading my first aid book. After killing some more zombies, I figured out that I could walk on broken glass and keep cutting myself over and over again to level up my first aid skill. This let me level up my first aid very quickly, so I ended up becoming a master of first aid and read the book. After the fun of injuring myself over and over again, I headed back to the prison to see how things were going. Spoiler alert, bad. Things were going bad. I could not believe how many zombies there were. I cleared out some of them through the vents, and then dispatched others that came running from the forest. What was I going to do about this mass of former humanity? Fortunately, my shotgun was going through the fence and killing some of them, but not all of them. It looked like they had mashed themselves into the fence somehow. The snow turned to rain, and the rain washed away the snow and revealed some of the carnage. This was a bloodbath. The next day, a fog rolled in, and I rolled in to the prison with spears, hoping to poke the zombies through the fence. I had some limited success. With the zombies cleared off the fence a little bit, I went back to my shotgun, and it was able to clear out some more. And my spear was able to take out a few more. But to completely clear out the area, I knew I would have to go in there, and that wasn't something I was ready to do yet anyway. As the fog lifted, I contented myself to clear out the area around the prison instead of being able to kill those inside. This turned out to be a lot of undead that I had now re-deadened. The next day, I loaded up my car and headed for the military base. It was a long, boring drive, and then a drive down a dirt road, and then a long, boring, but dangerous hike, till I finally made it to the military base, and I did some exploring. I took 2 full days to explore, but I really didn't find anything of interest. Not even any weapons or anything. I was disappointed. I wanted to find a weapon, maybe an M16, something. I felt like my time in Rosewood was coming to an end. I had cleaned out the prison and the military complex, and I had killed pretty much all the zombies in town, and I had scavenged everything I could find. I came here in hopes of getting help at the military complex or the prison, but all I found was more zombies. And I was getting lonely. I needed to move on, to find another place to live, and hopefully find more survivors. I pulled out my map and started to plan my next move. I thought maybe March Ridge would be my next searching location. I had plenty of clues to go by from maps I'd picked up along the way, and I decided that the best place for me to build a house would be this two-story building here, right towards the edge of town. With my plan made, I spent the next week sorting through my loot and deciding what I would take with me, and completely clearing out the town and double checking for anything of note. With my plan in place, I decided to take in the sights of Rosewood one more time before I left. Obviously, the dead disagreed with my plans, but they were not going to stop me from visiting the drive-in movie. Unfortunately, there were no good movies playing. On my way back, I thought I could curb my disappointment with some delicious candy from the nearby gas station. And I was in luck. They had a full stock. I loaded up on junk food. This would keep me going. But bright and early next morning, it was time. It was time to move on. So I loaded up the truck, and I headed out. Goodbye, Rosewood. You were good to me, and maybe I wasn't good to you. But maybe we'll see you again someday. March Ridge wasn't that far away, so it only took me a few hours to drive there. I was feeling confident with how well I moved into Rosewood, so I just went for it. Even as laden down with gear and equipment as I was feeling confident. I hopped out of my car and quickly got to work. I made a serious tactical error and did not drop my extra equipment, and it was weighing me down heavily. But I got to work fighting. And for a while there, I was doing well. Ish. But I was already out of breath due to how much stuff I was carrying. This was going poorly. I decided to switch to my shotgun to clear out some of this crowd. And clear it out it did. Except, it pulled even more to me. So it was a net wash. If I would have just dropped my extra gear, this would have gone much better. But now I was kind of stuck. I couldn't get away, and I couldn't fight well enough to clear them. So I was just kiting around. I thought maybe I could lose them over a fence when the worst thing that's ever happened to me in the game happened. I tripped, and not only did I cut myself, but I ruined my boots as well. Now I could not move quicker than the zombies. They were catching up, and I was tired and panicked still. Finally, I figured it out that I needed to drop some weight, so I started dropping things. But by now, would it be too late? I was able to put enough distance between us so that I could quickly bandage my foot, and that helped. I could move a little faster now. But was it fast enough? I tried to lose the zombies in the trees, but there were just so many of them that I only lost a few. I thought this was the end for sure, the end of our hero, but I kept throwing things on the ground and hoping. They were getting closer and closer. I had to take a chance on the trees again. I almost made it back to my car, but the zombies had it surrounded. I continued to shed weight until I was finally not overweight. Maybe I could move fast enough now. Could I get into my car this time? Oh, I made it. Just barely made it into my car before they grabbed me. And then I drove away quickly. I drove all the way out of town to get away from the zombies. And then I prepared myself better this time. I got myself new boots, and I rested up. And the fight was on. Working from outside the town this time, it would go much better. I had myself some lunch and some coffee, and I was distracted, so I ran into the stop sign. And then I made my return, this time more carefully and more strategically. I had been humbled, but now it was my turn. And I returned the favor. And return the favor I did. Now that I wasn't overburdened and injured, I was able to dispatch the zombies with relative ease. Now the trick would be finding and picking up everything that I had dropped. I needed all those supplies. Day turned to night, and still I fought on. House by house, mechanically this time, instead of just rushing in. I would do this the strategic way. Methodically, one house at a time. Until at last I had made it to my new chosen home. And I began clearing the area. I was surprised at how many zombies I found, given how many had welcomed me to March Ridge. Once the surrounding area felt a little bit clearer, I moved into my chosen house and cleared it out from the inside. And then I limped my way back to my vehicle, killing undead along the way, as needed, and brought my car to my new house. I just started moving in when the neighbors welcomed me to the neighborhood. How nice of them. I had a lot of work to do to make it safe and make it mine, but I had moved in. I had my new house. And March Ridge was now my oyster. I set about my usual way of making places safe, and I put sheet ropes in for escape routes. I covered the windows with cloths, and I destroyed the staircase with a sledgehammer so no undead could get to me while I was sleeping. And then I built my usual balcony. As somewhere safe to hang out and somewhere to put my water collectors. My foothold in March Ridge was established, and I was relatively safe, even though there were many undead in the area. While I was out exploring and clearing town, the sound of my generator must have attracted the undead's attention. They broke down both of my doors, but I could not find them anywhere. Apparently they broke everything and then left. How rude. So I set about rebuilding, always with the interruptions. I decided to turn the generator off. It was just attracting too much attention. I would have to do without power for now. The next days were spent clearing out the neighborhood and trying to make it safe. I defeated the roving packs of undead. I decided to lure them to me by shouting, and it worked. I preferred this strategy to going inside and fighting inside. Fighting outside is much easier where you have more room to maneuver. Block by block, and house by house, I cleared the neighborhood. With the neighborhood mostly cleared out and safe-ish, I turned my attention to making a sanctuary for myself. I thought about building over to the rooftop of the cinema across the way, but I thought that I probably would not be staying in town long enough to make that worth it. But at last, I had done it. I had survived for 10 months, 300 days. And I had killed almost 7,000 zombies. But there was still much to do, and many other places to explore.